There we go. Would you like to welcome everybody?
Good evening. My name is Dr. Love Jones. I'm the director of the Human Rights Department with the City of Greensboro, where our work is focused on making sure that people feel appreciated, welcomed, included, and certainly not marginalized or discriminated against in any way as residents of Greensboro. Of the many functions that we have in our department, ranging from fair housing and public accommodations to international support and second chance or reentry support for people with criminal records. The other thing that's really important to us is to support our boards and commissions. And the Human Rights Commission is responsible for connecting with the community to make sure that the needs that are out there as far as what people need more access to, especially, or have to work around barriers to access, is made available by way of outreach and education. And so I'm very grateful to serve in this role and to support the Human Rights Commission. And so tonight's program is going to be led by Commissioner Sue Polinsky, who is a member of the Human Rights Commission. And so thank you all for being here and for being interested in this topic.
Thank you, Love. We're going to talk about coding for kids, which Laura and I are passionate about. One of the things that we've got a problem with is we don't have in this country enough people to hire for the jobs we have. A lot of those jobs are in technology. A lot of them require knowledge of coding. And we want not just more people to think about that field as a career field. We want more girls to think about it. We want more girls of color to think about it. When we have technology conferences, it's rare that we find women or women of color who can contribute to those conferences, lead a session on something technical. So we're hoping to get to the parents of young girls and young people, because we need everybody, and let them know about perhaps things they didn't know about and career paths that are available to kids who want to study that. Laura Ademonis, as I try to pronounce it carefully, is a website designer. She owns her own business. It's called Add a Little Digital Services. Her background's in education, but here's the big one. She was the previous robotics coordinator for the Greensboro Science Center. In that position, she was in charge of developing classes and camps for kids that taught them to design, build, and code robots and online games and stories. It's like my dream job. People who, both of my kids are in the technology field. It is a real field. There is real salary, there is real job security. So as I stop pushing jobs and talk about fun, Laura, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Coding for Kids. And this just isn't for kids. I think it's going to be for everyone. I started later in life. This isn't something I went to college for. I actually went to college for set and lighting design. I'm originally from Chicago and things like that. So kind of just want to get started with where is coding? Well, coding's all around us. If you look at the different companies, a lot of these are local companies. A lot of these, are very familiar. And some of them you're just like, what? Like coding's for Pampers? Well, yeah, because there has to be a place that makes diapers, right? And that I found out that place is a huge, giant 3 football field big warehouse where it's all computer run. So how do those computers run? They need coders, they need programmers. NASA, okay, we're going back up to the moon, we're going into different planets and stuff. You know, if you love space, taking your interest and adding coding to it is the way of the future. Students that I've taught, I've always told them to, you know, find their passions. What are you passionate about? And if you're younger, if you're, you know, elementary or middle school, you're kind of trying everything. You're probably doing all kinds of sports and joining all kinds of clubs and taking lessons here and lessons there, and you're running your parents crazy sometimes. But as you get older and into high school, you want to take those passions and narrow them down and say, you know what could I really do with this? What things do I really like? So, you know, we all love our Marvel movies, and there's so many different aspects. If you've seen a Marvel movie and watch the credits at the end, you see hundreds of people that work just on that movie, on the graphics and the different things. That's all coding and stuff like that. We have Honda Jet, which is very local. They've gone from one building over at the airport to now 3 huge buildings just for this one little smaller jet. And we're bringing in, you know, Sonic and stuff like that. Another local company is Epic Games. It's in Cary, North Carolina. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And Toyota is building a huge battery factory, and you know, they're going to need programmers for encoders and things like that for that. And even our own Greensboro City, they have a website. They have different technology that they bring to our community. So they need, you know, people that know how to use code. So it's really exciting on that aspect. So like Sue said, here's my little background. And I was at the Science Center for a good many years. And I was also a previous mentor for ECG Robotics, which is a community-based robotics high school team. My son was on the team Triple Strange, and they went to the World Championships in Houston, Texas, 4 years in a row. So they've made a name for themselves in North Carolina. First is a robotics, a worldwide robotics competition for kids. And that's also something that the Science Center has. Grew up in Chicago, love figuring out how things work. And I love how to build, and I just started learning how to build websites in March and launched my business in July.
Laura,
So
can I interrupt you just for a sec? Can you tell everybody what a robotics team does?
Sure. So a robotics team is, it could be 2 people, it could be up to 10, or it could be 20 or 30. Depends on the different levels. At the Science Center, we are focused on our younger kids, and then our 10 to 14-year-olds. So the 10 to 14-year-olds are in what's called First Lego League. And what they do is every year, first, the organization comes up with a theme and a challenge. So then they have to, so like one year it was about traveling. So and especially with COVID, how do we get merchandise from one place to another? So the teams had to figure out like what would be some good solutions to get things to people. So like our all girls team, yes, we've supported an all girls team at the Science Center for the last 10 years. They came up with delivering medicine with drones to people who weren't able to get out of the house. And they were using face recognition camera on the drone in order to verify that it was the person whose medicine it was. So the team had to do research, they have to work together. And on top of it, then there's a mission mat, and they have to program a small robot, probably about the size of like 2 hands, to go through different missions that are set up on this mat that go along with the theme. So that's the second part of it. And then there's also how the team works together, and that's part of the judging. So then there's a judging session, and the teams go through the judging session, and then they go through the robotics game part of it too. So those are usually held at local high schools or
That's cool.
grammar schools. And then the North Carolina state finals are held at A&T University, which is the state sponsor for that, which is really cool.
That's cool. Thank you.
So I'm going to play a little video. This is from Code.org. It's one of those awesome organizations I'm going to be talking a lot about. And they also want to help change the face of computer science. So let's.
I was first introduced into computer science when I was in high school.
My first experience with technology was when I was very young, about 6 years old.
It was part of our curriculum at the school I went to.
There I made my way into computer science class, and I loved it so much that I ended up double majoring in both theater and computer science.
Growing up as a kid in the inner city, I never learned a thing about code.
Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry. Okay,
I was first introduced.
let's get back there.
Kid in the inner city, I never learned a thing about coding, and it's so important.
All of my girlfriends, I think, have taken a computer science class, and I'm the odd person out right now.
Having access to technology, and for me in particular, being able to code was a multiplier.
I wanted to do computer graphics. I wanted to be a graphic designer. And when people found out, they laughed at me and, you know, all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool. And, you know, I'm learning a lot. And some of my friends have jobs.
I mean, the opportunities are endless for somebody who's getting into computer science, because that's a job that's in high demand right now.
We have all different types of people who work in computer science.
We need the participation of more women, more people of color, to provide a different perspective and a different lens on which problems matter and how we should approach these problems.
It's not just programming, it's not just building things, it's an entire different way of seeing the world.
There's a way that even when you're coding, you can help make this world a better place.
And it's a really fun place to be right now.
I hope you guys want to be entrepreneurs. You want to have your own business. You want to create an opportunity for your family. You want to create your own app or your own platform or whatever. And I'm here to say today that you guys can do that.
Computer science for everyone, literally everyone. Some people think you have to be a genius to get it and understand it, and it's so far from the truth.
I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but you know, what isn't?
Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot do something.
If you're a high school student that's thought about taking computer science, just go after it.
We need diverse teams of people in order to make products that reflect what our world looks like.
It's not just a means to an end. It's this thing that gives us hope to solve every problem that the world potentially has.
We're on a mission to help change the face of computer science.
We're going to learn to code together, bring the family, gather around.
Anybody can do it. You should try it.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Push yourself. Anybody can learn. Just give it a try.
All right, so there's probably a lot of people in there that you might know or you might not know, but it's really cool to Google search and see what kind of people are out there that are making a difference in their communities and have started their own businesses and things like that. So there's coding opportunities. There's lots of free resources around you, and we're going to talk about a couple of them. And I have a list of coding websites at the end of this slide presentation, and Sue's going to have a document that has a whole bunch of other resources on that too. Online coding programs. Some have an option to choose a different language too, which is nice. So if you have different languages within your household, you can I'll point out on a couple of them that you can choose different languages. If you are in need of computers, you can always check out the library, and you can go there and use the computers for an hour. And then today I'm going to demonstrate 3 different coding sites that I've always loved and shared with my previous students. So the first demonstration is called Scratch, and you might have seen this in school. A lot of the Guilford County schools will use this for some lessons and stuff. It's a free website, and it's made by the MIT University, which is pretty cool. And they've been doing this for several years now. So we're gonna actually make it, and I'm gonna give me a second to switch my screen here. So if you go into your browser and you type in just Scratch, it'll come up with this. You don't need the whole address, but I did put it onto the slide. Sue, can we see this Scratch?
I can only see your PowerPoint slide. I can't see your browser.
So I'm gonna share my
Reshare.
other screen.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Do we see it?
That's good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is the Scratch homepage. We're gonna mute our mics, please. And then you can ask some questions after my demo, okay? So we're gonna go up to create. And if you're at home too, I mean, if you, pull up this site, you can kind of go along with us too, if you have another screen. So I'm just going to kind of give a highlight of what you're seeing here. This is the Scratch kind of workspace. We have Scratch here. Like I said, you can pick different languages to work in. So Scratch has a number of different languages. And then over here on the far left side is a tab called Code. And if you look down, these are the different categories. So these colored circles convey with the different. And this Scratch uses what's called block coding, which is very user-friendly. And it's a great way for younger kids to work on their reading skills too. So right now we're in the motions. And you can see that it's move 10 steps, turn, things like that. If we go to look is about talking, about switching costumes or what the person's wearing, or even the way the person is moving. And it goes down to different things. So the simpler ones are up here, which is nice. And then some of the more advanced buttons are sensing and operations. So that can be for some of the older kids. So this is a great resource for all ages, which is great. When you open it, you do get this little window of a tutorial, and you can kind of use this one as your first one and kind of go through the different steps. If I close it, I can always go back to the tutorials. And if you click on that, you have all different kinds of things. There's different games, or if you just want to do like one thing, like add a backdrop and stuff like that, it's all listed there for you, which is really cool. Over here is going to be our workspace. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag our blocks over here. So if you notice, my mouse becomes a hand, and if I left click, I can drag that over like this, okay? And then over here, this is going to be like our little TV screen where our mouse is. And our mouse character in Scratch are called Sprites. So you're going to hear me use that word a lot, Sprites. And then down below here is our little Sprite window. So we have our name. And then this is interesting. Now, if you think about I don't know how old everyone is, but if you think about in school, you're using a piece of graph paper and the teacher tells you to do some point graphing. where you put points on different things, and it's like 0, 0, and then 1, 0, or 5, 6. And we know that those are different points. So we have our X that goes across. So from one point to another would be X. So imagine that this background is a piece of graph paper, and then our Y would be from the top to the bottom. So right now my sprite is at 0, 0, but if I move him over, you see that he turns into 112 and 91. So he's 112 pixels, okay, little points, and he's 91 pixels up, okay. So if you bring him back down, we'll kind of get in the middle, and you can always put in a 0 to do that, okay. I have to move this out of the way. And then down here, we see that we have our sprites listed. And then down here, we have a choose a sprite. And this is the directory to choose a sprite. There is a library of all different kinds of characters. You can make your own. You can have them surprise you, or you can even upload a picture and make it into a sprite. Our last area is our stage or backdrop. And again, we have a library, we can make our own and things like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change our sprite. So we're going to go to our sprite library and click on that magnifying glass. And since we're going to do a dancing thing, we have different categories that we can kind of narrow down our search instead of scrolling through everything. But you can see there's lots of different things to pick from. So we're going to click on dance. And we're going to pick Cassie dance, and she's already moving and grooving. Okay. So what we want to do is we're just going to take our cat sprite and move him away, take him away. So now we are coding Cassie. So if you notice over in our work area, there's a little Cassie picture here, and this will tell you that we're coding her. Now we want to give her a backdrop too. Since we're here, we're going to go to our choose a backdrop. And we are going to go to our library of that. Again, we can narrow down our search, but we have lots of different backdrops to choose from. So there isn't one that says dance, but there is one that says music, which is very similar. So we'll narrow that down, and we're going to pick the spotlight. So there she is in the spotlight with her disco ball. So now we're going to make her dance, okay? So what we're going to do is over here, one of the first things we need is an event. We need to be able to start our program. And we usually start our program with this flag here. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so if you can see it. And I'm just going to shrink our TV screen down a little bit, okay? So then what we want to do is we want to be able to use this little flag over here to start, to go, and then we can use the stop sign over here to stop. So we have our flag, and then we're going to go back to our motions, and we're going to click on 10 steps, okay? So that means that the character will move 10 pixel steps. So they're really kind of tiny. So let's make our screen a little big again. So when I click on here, you can kind of see her move, but she doesn't move a lot, does she? Okay. So what we can do is we can move her back, and we're going to kind of maybe go 50 steps. So then we can see, click on there. So then she kind of moves a little bit more. Okay. So then we're going to add a wait block, and we can go into controls, and we have waits and repeats and things like that. So we're going to wait a second, and then she's going to move back to her position. So we're going to go and move another move block. Now this time, if she moves that way, we want her to go back to her original spot. So what we're going to use is a negative number. So you know how we use our minus sign, and then we're going to use the same 50, and she'll be able to move back. So let's see, if we start her in the middle, and we click and test it out, or wait a second, and she moves back. There we go. So now we want her to be able to like move back and forth multiple times, right? Because we don't want to keep clicking on it. So how can we make the program do it on its own? So if you notice, when I was in the wait, in the controls, there was a thing called a repeat. So if we take the repeat out, we bring that over and we have it repeat for 10. Let's test it out. Now you notice that I've clicked on this about 5 times now. So every time I add something new, I want to test it out. And that's the fun thing about coding, is trying something new and seeing if it works. So using your imagination is like really cool, isn't it? So here we go. So she's kind of glitchy, isn't she? So what could we do to make her less glitchy? So we're going to hit the stop sign, and we might have to maybe go 1.5 seconds. So we can do 0.5s in here, and maybe that'll slow her down a little. So I always have to click here to kind of lock everything in, and we can even try this flag. There we go. So we still see she's a little glitchy. Now, what could we do to make her, it seem like she's dancing more? Now, remember I said there's costumes? So we're going to go up over here, and there's a costume tab. Now, Cassie comes with different dance moves, which is pretty cool. Okay, so this is a fun one. So this is Cassie B. Okay, so we're going to go back to our code, and we're going to go into looks, and we're going to add switch costumes. Okay, so we're going to go here, and then there's a drop down, so we can go into Cassie and B. Okay, so let's see that and test that out. Whoops, we forgot. Now, the thing is that she didn't start at her original costume. So we need to add another costume at the beginning, and remember that that was Cassie A. Okay, so now we're gonna, oops, what happened? Okay, so let's see, let's get Cassie back to her original costume here. I take this away. There we go. Okay, I don't know why that wasn't working. Oh, because you know what? I probably have to put it inside the repeat. How's that? I bet you guys figured that out already, didn't
This
you?
is a perfect example of what happens to me every day of the week. I
All right,
appreciate this.
let's test that out. So there we go. So she's moving and grooving. Again, we would have to play with that in order to figure that out. Now, we have no music, do we? So let's add some sound. So we have our sound library here. Okay, another tab. And then again, we have a library, so we can choose different sounds. I'm going to click on, now I'm going to click on loops. Now I know that loops is a little bit longer instead of like just a sound. So I see that there's one called Dance Celebration. So if I hover over, I can hear it. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and I've added it to my kind of my choices. So I can go back to my code, and I'm going to go to sounds, and I'm going to start, I'm going to put it in front of the repeat so that it's, and then see here, I can pick our different sounds. Okay, so let's try this.
Hey.
All right. I just want to try one thing because I don't like the way that her costume thing is. Let's try and add next costume. And we're going to take this one away. Okay.
Hey.
one more thing I just want to try. You know, once you get started with this, you just go. There we go.
Hey.
All right. So there we go with our code. We've made a fun little dance thing. And that is our first demo. Does anyone have any questions?
Before anybody asks a question, I just have to tell you, I have a 7-year-old granddaughter and she and I are going to be doing this on Zoom. This is something that the demo you did actually showed everybody how to lock the puzzle pieces and unlock them and fix things. And you could do this forever if you're so inclined, but this is great. If you have a question, please unmute and ask it. This is audience participation. If you have a question, don't be afraid. And
that's okay.
Laura, the only thing I want to ask you about, everything you just did, would you call that appropriate for kids under 10, kids 10 to 14? What's the age range this app is designed for?
You know what, as long as they can read. So I mean, we have 6-year-olds who are doing this, you know, just basic stuff. Like I said, the controls over here, those first 5, anyone can use. It's just getting into the sensing and stuff. And the tutorials are really great. That, you know, you can do different.
That sounds like a good place to start, but it's an excellent opportunity for mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, older brother, sister, cousin to sit with them and go through this a couple of times. And then I imagine you're going to have some trouble getting them away from the computer.
Yeah. And the fun thing too is that, you know, you can set up an account and it's free. And then you can save your stuff and work on it later. So like you saw that there was a create a story. So if you're more of a writer and stuff, you can take and make your stories come to life, which is really cool. And you know, if you like to draw and stuff, there's different art things that we'll look at too. If you go back to the Scratch site, the home page, and go to explore or ideas, there's a whole community that will download theirs and their projects and stuff. So we can go to animation and let's see. This is somebody put their project in. Now, sometimes they don't always work, and sometimes you have to figure it out. But if they give notes on how to use it, and then you can take their code and make it your own and stuff like that. So.
And before that wolf eats my grandma, give that wolf a banana, give that wolf.
So just, you know, fun things like that. And I always like the art ones too. What? And then there's projects and then studio too. So there's a studio that has all different kinds of things in it. So a lot of different options on Scratch. Okay. Do I need to?
Great. No, that was great. You probably need to switch back to sharing PowerPoint.
Yep. And let's share screen. There we go. All right. So like I said, I have all the information here. I also have, when you get this power, do they have access to get a copy of the PowerPoint?
We'll let them know what the link is if you want to PDF it, because some people don't have PowerPoint, but if you include a PDF, that'll work.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go on to our second our second demonstration. On this one, we're going to go to Microsoft Make Code. So Microsoft has a whole free coding site, and we're going to go to the arcade, and we're going to make a game called Chase the Pizza. So you guys all ready? All right, so I got to stop sharing, and we'll share. Oops. All right. So can you guys everyone see that one?
Yes.
All right. So you can type in just make code, or I've gone in a little bit more, whoops, a little bit more into it, into the arcade part. So let's see. Let me see if I can get back out. Nope. All right, so we're in the arcade part, and we're going to go to a new project. And if you scroll down, you can see that there's skill maps, tutorials, and even the tutorials, there's a whole bunch more. And then there's live coding, which is cool. So people have done demonstrations of the games, and they might have changed a little bit. There's block games. And then for older kids, there's JavaScript. So JavaScript is one of the coding languages that a lot of professionals use. So if you would like to start learning about JavaScript, you can learn what words. It's a whole different language. So it is kind of like learning a different language. So there's all different kinds of different aspects of it. Okay. So we're just going to start up here in our tutorials and our Chase the Pizza. So again, we're going to do the blocks, but if you are interested in learning JavaScript, or if you've heard Python, Python is another coding language. Those are other two. JavaScript tends to be a little bit more universal in the aspect of learning other different languages with that. So we're going to click on here. Gives a nice little introduction on what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be just creating a character, and then we're going to have to chase the pizza. So very simple. This is going to look like a very pixelated gaming system. So it'll be fun. Again, here in the settings, you can go to languages, and they do have a few different other languages, not as many as Scratch though. Okay. So over here, we have kind of the same thing. We have our directions over on this side. We're going to have our different categories, and they are using different symbols to help us with knowing which area, and different colors too. And then this will be our workspace. Okay. Now there is a little TV screen down here that you can kind of see what's going on. But the thing I like the most about this site, you ready? See this button over here? It's a little Game Boy-ish kind of thing, if anyone knows what a Game Boy is. But this is going to be where we're going to play our game. So pretty cool. So we're going to go back to our instructions, and there is an option to read them aloud. So if you click on this little here, if you need help with some words or something. But the nice thing is that the keywords are going to be the same color as the categories over here. So we're going to open the scene toolbox drawer and drag the set background color block into the on start block on your workspace. Then click next. So our next button's down here, back button's here. And if we need help, there's a little light bulb here. Okay, so we're going to go to scene. We're going to click there. Now, the nice thing about these tutorials is that they don't put everything in there. So they only put what you're using for this lesson. So we can take that, we're dragging it with our left mouse, and we're going to put it into. Now you see that when I hover close, there's a gray area. So I can be way over here. Let's get that gray area. and let it go and it pops in. So that's the cool thing about the coding, is that I don't have to like try and match those puzzle pieces up. All right, so we're on to that. We're going to go to next. In the set background color block, click on the gray color oval to open up the color palette and select the background color to see what this looks like in your game. Look at the game simulator on the left side of your screen. So we're going to go to our block and click on this gray spot, and we have all different kinds of colors. And let's see, let's go with orange because it's fall, right? All right, so we see that our little screen here is turned to orange. If we check our little Game Boy, our little gaming thing, it is also orange. So that is cool. All right, our next step, open the sprites. Again, they use the word sprites for our characters. Toolbox drawer and drag the first block, set my sprite, into the on start block on your workspace. This will create a new player character for your game. So we're going to go up to our sprites, and this has a couple, so we're probably going to use these, but remember it said set my sprite. So we want to look for those words. We're going to grab this and we're going to put it underneath. So just like when you read, we read one sentence at a time. Code, the computer reads one block at a time. Okay, so we want to make sure we put them underneath each other. So now we're going to draw our player character by clicking in the gray square of the set my sprite to open up the sprite editor. Use the color palette and design tools to draw an image on the canvas. Click done when you're finished. So right here, there's a little box, and we're going to click on that, and we have a design studio. Okay, so remember I said it's very pixelated, so you're going to see the character kind of. So we have our design tools over here, and I'm going to click on a circle. I'm going to make a head. So when you're making a circle, you always kind of want to start in the middle of the circle, because what's going to happen is it's going to go like this and expand, instead of like some other things that you might have, that you can draw it and drag it this way. So we're going to bring it this way, and we're going to drag and see how it opens up. And we want to make it as big as possible. So we're going to have a really big head. Okay, so now I can go to my paint can, and I am going to take my color and I can make it solid. Okay, and we want some eyes. So we're going to take and click some eyes. Oops. Oh, because I did, sorry. There we go. And we get some lips. Like I said, it's so very sad, isn't it? So how do we make a happy face? We got to put some sides on it. There. And now we're happy. That's it. There we go. All right. And we need a body. So let's see, what color outfit should they use? Maybe some green. So we're going to take and make a green body and color that in. And then some arms and some feet. Oops. There we go. Some legs. And there we go. What are we missing? Oh, we need some hair. We need some hair. All right, let's get some purple hair going. Like this. So using your imagination, just having fun with it. Oops. Oh, okay. So then down here in the bottom right, we're going to click done. And if you can see right here, we have a little tiny, let's see if I can make that bigger. There we go. Our little sprite, and we can go to our next step. So now we're going to open up the controller toolbox drawer and drag the move my sprite with buttons block after they set my sprite block. This will allow you to move your player sprite around the screen with the arrow keys. Try it out on your game simulator. So we're going to go up to our controller, okay, and we're going to move my sprite button, and we're going to set it be underneath there, okay. So now we can go into our game simulator, And I can either use my mouse and the little mouse thing, and I can make them go different ways. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Let's see. Oh, I thought I could make it bigger. Oh, there we go. And can go like that. Or I can use my arrow keys and go right to right and up and down. Now with the arrow keys, I have more control where I can hit left and up, and I can do angles. So I like using the arrow keys a little bit more than the mouse for some reason. Okay. And now I got to get out of here. I think I'm hidden behind.
Try the menu.
Yep. Uh-oh. It's
How
hidden
about the X
somewhere.
at the bottom right in the teal colored toolbar? What's the last?
Yeah, that's what I
button?
can't. That's what I can't see. let me. Oops. There we go. Yeah, so it was hiding behind my Zoom controls.
That's full screen. Ah, there's a back button.
Yeah, now I got it. I got
Okay.
it because I zoomed too much. There we go. All right. So we're going to go on to our next step. We're going to open up a Sprite toolbox, and we're going to drag another set my Sprite number 2. Okay. And we're going to put that block into the on start. This will be the pizza. So we're going to click here. We're going to click another one. And you notice that it automatically changed to my Sprite number 2. So now in the set my Sprite block, click on the my Sprite number 2, and we're going to rename our variable and type in pizza. So we're going to click on this drop down, and we see that the rename variable, and we're going to go backspace, and we're going to PIZZA and click OK. So now we have set pizza. We could also change the Sprite name too if we wanted to. So you could put, give it a name or something. So now we're going to go and we're going to find our pizza. So we're going to set the pizza block, click the player kind to open the menu to different Sprite kinds. We're going to select food. So we're going to click again on our thing. Now this time, instead of drawing, we're going to go to the gallery. So the gallery has a bunch of pixelated pictures, and we're going to pick on the piece of pizza and click done. Okay, so now we have our little piece of pizza. And, oh, I did it backwards. Okay. And then we also need to click on player, and we need to click on food because this is the food. Okay. Now this step was to make the pizza. So we did both of those. All right, so now we can go back. Open the Sprites toolbox drawer and drag the on Sprite overlaps other Sprites block. So we're going to go to Sprites and this big block here. Now you notice that it doesn't have a puzzle piece here, so we're not going to connect it into with the other ones. This is going to just be separate. So that's where it says you can place this anywhere. Okay, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller since we have this other one now. And in the overlap Sprite block, we're going to click on the second player kind after other Sprite to open up the menu and select food. So this is a little tricky, so that's why we kind of go one. So we're going to go on the Sprite. We're going to click the second player. Okay. And we're going to, so this is the first player, and then this is the second player, and we're going to click here, and we're going to do food. When our player overlaps the pizza, let's add a point. So open the info toolbox and draw out change score block and put it into the overlap other Sprites block. So we're going to go to the info, and we're going to change our score, drag that down, and we're going to put it into this block. Okay. Let's see set the position for pizza to random locations around the screen. So remember, we want the pizza to bounce around the screen. So we're going to open up the Sprite block, and we're going to drag the set my Sprite position block into into the on Sprites. So we're gonna click here and see this one right here. We're gonna drag that and bring that down here. In the Set My Sprite position block, click on the My Sprite variable to open up the menu and select pizza. So here we're gonna go here and we're gonna click on pizza. Because remember, we want the pizza to be random, but we want to be able to control the figure. Now on the math tool block, we're gonna drag 2 pick random blocks. Okay, so we want 2 of them. And we're gonna drop one into the X coordinate. Okay, so let's do one at a time. So we're gonna go to math. We're gonna get 2 of these. So I'm just gonna drag one here, and I'm gonna get another one, and I'm gonna just put it over here. Okay, so now we're gonna take one of them and we're gonna drag it and put it by the X. So see, it's giving you the clue where to go. So we can just let it go. So X, remember how in Sprite we had our X going from one side to another, and then Y is up and down. So we want the other one to pick a Y coordinate. And get a drink of water here. All right, so our screen is 160 pixels wide and 120 high. So that's why we want to pick, be able to have a random spot within that area. So we want to change the X 10 value to 160. So we're going to take this and we're going to backspace and put 160. And then we're going to go to our Y and we want it at 120. So we're going to click 120. Okay, we're done with that. So let's restart our countdown each time. So we're going to open up the toolbox, the info, and we're going to do a start timer. And we're going to put it into our, so we're going to have 10 seconds to get a point, and it will reset every time we get a point. Now, since you are new to this and you're just starting out, and you don't want to hear that sound all the time, give yourself a little bit of extra time the first couple times, and then see if you can work your way with playing the game to get to 10 seconds. So, are you ready? Let's see how I do. Okay, I'm gonna make this bigger. I click the A button. I'm going to use my arrow keys. And here we go. So, got to work on your directions.
How do you win? How do you get a point?
Well, you see, I have 13 points. So every time I hit the pizza.
Oh, okay.
So the timer's in the middle. So you
Got
see
it.
how the timer kind of resets every time I get a.
Okay.
So then, oops, I lost me. So then we're going to let it run out. And game is over. So let me.
They need better music for when the game's over.
They definitely do. All right. So are there any questions?
This is a good time for you to ask any kind of question about coding or this particular game, or it's not really a game, although it looks like one. Feel free to unmute and ask question. If you don't want to do that, put it in the chat. Or we're going to go on to part 3.
Everyone's good? Are you having fun?
Laura, I've got a question. If you become good at something like this, building some games or things, or building some blocks that do something, what kind of job would you get? what would you go to school for to keep working in this field?
Well, I mean, you know, this is the basis of gaming. You just created a game, so any kind of game on a controller, on oh gosh, what does my son play? Computer games,
There's Xbox, there's
Xbox, yeah.
Atari and Sega and all those games. My son was a game developer at EA Sports, which was John Madden football. They might have gotten bought by somebody, but when Summers in college, I never had to send him money because he was working in this summer job, working on gaming. And he got to move to Florida for 2 or 3 months and then go back to college. It's a humongous field. And every young man I've met, and you ask them, what do you want to do in programming or coding or geek or whatever? They'll tell you, I want to do video games. I want to do games. And they play them. I mean, Minecraft and all these things you may have heard of.
Oh, yeah.
These make an enormous amount of money. And now there's virtual competitions with them. The prizes are over $1 million.
Yep.
Now, not every young person grows up to play pro sports and gets a big contract. And not every person grows up to get $1 million gaming awards. But video games are a very large chunk of our geek economy.
Well, and every industry needs some kind of programmer. So like I said earlier, if you have a passion for space, or if you have a passion for fashion, even fashion or music, there's coding in all those different industries too. One of my favorite quotes is from the founder of the first robotics. His name is Dean Kamen. He's a inventor and philanthropist. Robotics is the only sport that you can become a pro at. So
okay, that was cool. That was cool. Okay.
So our last demonstration is going to be from Codeorg. They do an annual Hour of Code event every year, and we've previously at the Science Center, I hosted Hour of Code events for for kids to come into and learn the basics of some code. This is a different aspect of it. This is the artist part of it. So we're going to draw a square, and then we're going to see how to draw a flower. Okay. Oops. And let me get back out.
You want to share your browser? There you go. We can see it now.
Okay. So we're in Codeorg, and let me open up a different window and go to the home page first. Let's see.
Welcome to live demonstrations.
So this is the homepage for Codeorg. Again, it's a free resource, and if you scroll down, there's Learn at Home, the section for students, if you're an educator, and then supporting different things if you want to set up an event and things like that. So I went into and found this just simple art one. So again, the screen is kind of set up the same way. We have a little TV screen over here. We have our blocks. We have our workspace. Okay. So our directions are welcome to artist. First off, let's try to make a simple square using the turn right block and move forward block. Each side should be 100 pixels long. So we already know what pixels is. It's the movement. It's the little spots. It's what computers use to measure things. Okay. So if we look at our square and we can kind of see, let me make this a little bit bigger. We can see that the person is facing this way. So the person has to go forward first. So we see our blocks. We only have a limited number. So we know that we have to move forward first. So we're going to go there. And remember, we're programmers, so we test everything. So then we're going to click run. All right. So they got to the corner. And don't worry about that. Oh, not quite. So we'd rather test it out first than have it mess up if we've tried to do it all at once. So now we want to turn, and we have to look to see if it's right or left, because there's both of those options. And I can tell that it's a right turn. So we're going to do that. We're going to reset, and the person has turned. So we're good. So now what do you think they have to do? They have to move forward. Okay. So we'll set it again. All right. So now we kind of have the hang of it. So now we can go and maybe do a couple more. Let's see if we're there yet. Not there yet. We got one, maybe two more steps that we have to do. So we need another turn, and we need forward. Oops. So we're going to run. All right. So when you're doing Codeorg, it's great that they have this kind of congratulations, you're ready to move on to the next step. You just wrote 7 lines of code. Now, if I used 8 and they know that it only needs 7, they can kind of say, you know, like try again, or like they'll let you know, which is cool. So you can hit replay less, because we always want the computer to have to do less steps. Just like, oops, my internet's unstable. That's not good. So if we click the code, which is cool, we can see what's called JavaScript. So even top universities teach block-based coding, Berkeley and Harvard, but under the hood, the blocks you have assembled can also be shown in JavaScript, the world's most widely used coding language. So again, it's just simple words and commands. Move forward 100, and the computer knows that it's pixels. We're going to turn right 90, move forward. Okay. But to know when to count,
Laura, if you can hear me, would you cut off your video?
and when to use a lowercase, cut off.
Laura, you're coming in and out. Would you turn off your video and see if it'll save
video.
bandwidth? Alt V, like Victor.
Alt V, okay. I don't know what that does.
Well, if you're on the Zoom window, if your Zoom window's active.
Oh, no, I just have it down with your picture on it.
Okay, let's see. You were just cutting out a little bit, but it seems a little better now. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so that was our square. So very simple. So there are, in the artist, there are different lessons up here. I'm going to skip to number 8, which is the flower. So let's see if we can get there. Give me a second. It's coming.
While this is loading, and Lord, let me just interrupt for a sec. If for any reason your family, you cannot afford good internet access, the FCC has an emergency broadband benefit. I'm going to put the link for that into the chat, and it is for serves low-income Americans, including those on Medicaid and supplemental nutrition, SNAP. Households whose children receive benefits under reduced and free school lunch program or breakfast may be eligible. So I'll put the link in the chat. And if you need help with that, or if you know somebody, you can share that. Okay, Laura, I'm done.
No problem. All right, so lesson number 8 is kind of like the reverse. It gives you part of it, but we're still going to have to think about it and use our problem solving skills. So if you look at our little picture here, you can see that the artist is going to draw 3 flowers. And if we look at our code, when we hit run, we have what's called draw a flower. So what we've done is we've set up a function box here, and it's called draw a flower. So if you look inside here, there's a repeat 6 times. And what that does, it's going to set a color to random colors, and then it's going to repeat 8 times. So what it's going to do is it's going to move forward by 20 pixels, and then it's going to turn right by 60 degrees. And then if you see here, then we have, oops, I'm sorry, move forward and turn right. That's going to do 8 times. So after that 8 times, then it's going to jump down and turn 60 degrees. And then that's going to repeat 6 times. Because why do you think 6? Because there's 6 petals. All right, so let's see what this does. We're going to hit run. All right, so we had the artist draw 1 flower, but we want them to draw 3 flowers. So how are we going to get them to do that? So we have to look at our different block options over here. Okay. So the directions give us a little hint. It says the flowers are 150 pixels apart. So from where the artist is standing to the next flower, this is 150 pixels. So once they draw the flower, they need to move forward 150 pixels. So how are they going to do that? So what do we have here? So we have a move forward. Okay. So we can, let's see, we can draw a flower, and we want it over here. Okay. So we're going to put it inside here. Now it says 100 and we want 150. Okay. So what do we have to do? We got to test it out, right? So let's test it out. All right. So what it did was got to the next flower, but it drew a line which we don't want. So I haven't figured that one out. Let's see. You have to use a block you aren't using yet. Okay. And let's see. Oh, you know, because we want, instead of move, we have jump. So they're going to jump 150. So let's try that. There we go. We got rid of that line. All right. So now how do we get them to draw 2 more flowers? In here somewhere. So we can't get it in. So what we're going to have to do is pull this all out. Okay, keep it all together. Put our repeat in. And how many flowers do we have? We have 3 flowers. And then we're going to put this in like that. Okay. So let's see if we can make this. I can't go any bigger. I'll go a little bit faster though. Okay, here we go. Ah, yay! We did it. All right. You just wrote 3 lines of code. So again, we can show the code in the JavaScript. Now, this is a little bit more fancier things because we have what's called variables in there. So I'm not going to read through this for you, but again, this is just another way to learn how to do it and to learn where semicolons go and things like that. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second and go back to my presentation. All right. So the faces of coding.
As Laura's resharing her screen, if you have questions you want to ask at the end, put them in the chat or get yourself ready to ask them. Go ahead, Laura.
So I went on the internet and found some people who are coding. So does anybody look like you? And believe it or not, half of them I know personally. So some of them are previous students of mine. Some are people that I've just met recently through coding, which is really cool. So some of them are still going to school, but some of them also have jobs in the coding industry. So down here, this is Shiv, and Shiv works for SpaceX. This is
Lori,
Carmela, and
you're
she
not
is
sharing. You're not sharing your screen. We see you.
a, let me get back here. Forgot. I opened it up and I forgot to share it. All right, let's go back. All right. Because otherwise Sue would have a little chuckle here. All right. So like I was saying that I know half of these people, or I've met these people because of coding, which is really cool. So down here, this is his name is Shiv, and he was one of the robotics students at the Science Center. Started when he was 10 years old, and now he is a graduate and graduated and is working for SpaceX. So he loves space. Over here, this is Carmela, and she went to school and is now doing cyber coding and stuff like that. So really cool. This lady owns her own business, and you might know this guy. His name is Bill Gates, but he started out in coding, and now he is able to take his money and do good around the world and help those less fortunate and stuff like that. So at the end of the, so I have a page of resources that have the ones that we went through. And then I also added some other places. Scratch also has a Scratch Junior for younger kids, which is an app only for iPads. And they use blocks and stuff like that. Tinkercad. Khan Academy also has some great resources for coding classes. And then we have a couple other places here. Also, I just found Carnegie Mellon has a great resource of STEM classes. So not just coding, but other science related things, which is really cool. They did a whole series of following around different students and what they do. You know, science-based wise. And then also found Girls Who Code has great resources. And then these are the people that are on the faces and what they're doing with their lives. So yeah,
Laura, that was super duper. I'm honored to be a face on your screen. That's very exciting. If you were talking to parents and their kids, and parents thought this was a really good idea for them to get into or be introduced to, is there anything, what would you tell them to do first? What language would you mentioned JavaScript is underlying some, but what are languages or what kind of classes should they take? What should they look at studying?
So I think one of the things is, you know, just being introduced to it, having, you know, doing it in a fun way. I'm not sharing my screen at all, right?
Right.
Okay. Doing fun things with it, like the Scratch and things like that. So, you know, younger kids, and make it fun. But then also introduce things like, you know, puzzles and problem solving and, you know, recipes, you know, cooking with your family is a great way to.
There's a new app for young kids who want to cook with their families. It's recipes and step by step, and you set your little iPad or phone up, and you pause it when you're mincing the onion or something. It's very cute. Okay, you answered a lot of the questions that I have, but do you know if is there a difference between coding and programming?
So coding is kind of like, let's see, I looked up that. Coding is the first step to becoming a developer and slash programmer. So there are many, programmers require specialized knowledge. So a programmer kind of does the core of it. They're building the code. They're not designing it or anything. So the coder then can take that programmer's code and manipulate it, change it up. So a programmer is going to need a little bit more knowledge base, a degree, more work experience to know how the program works and the different languages and stuff. A coder can kind of be what they call front end or back end. The front end coder is a person like me who takes a code, a theme, and stylizes it, makes it for my client a special way. A back end coder or designer is going to help the programmer make the code so that it has options of, we're going to give them, different colors, we're going to give them different fonts and stuff like that. Developers don't like to design stuff.
No, they hate
for the most part
they hate it.
So they like to have other people do the designing part of it.
Okay, Laura, in Guilford County Schools, are you familiar with any of the classes that are available to young people if they're interested in this?
I am not, but I had a link.
It's in the resource guide. It's in
the resource guide
PDF.
For Guilford County. I know that we were talking with them. I've taught a bunch of teachers the last couple years to bring robotics into the classrooms. And I know that there's talk of doing a STEM center for Guilford County.
That would be great.
And bringing more resources. I know that, 2 summers ago, with the summer immersion program, that they had some coding and stuff like that. And that's what I had taught a bunch of the teachers to
several
implement.
years ago, when I was working with the IT Tech Council at the Weaver Center, I don't know if it's still at Weaver, but there were some pretty decent classes there. And we brought in some teachers, and I schlepped out to Raleigh, and we talked to a group called Red Hat. Now, you may not have heard of them recently because IBM bought them, but the Red Hat people build the languages that basically underlie everything, and mostly the internet. And so there's Red Hat built anything that ends in X. So we got that certification at the Weaver Center in the Guilford County Schools, which was the first one on the planet, the first time they offered certification. I think that's still available. There was Microsoft certification at the Weaver Center and a variety of things. So there are things in Guilford County that you can find out about it. It's called the Tech Prep program. That's TECH and then prep, like preparation. And it is the most non-publicized great resource in Guilford County Schools, in my opinion, but I'm biased. So
I want to ask, because Kamal put in that they're taking AP Computer Science, and I was wondering if they would unmute and share how are they liking the class.
Oh, Kamal, we'd love to hear that. Would you please unmute and tell us about it?
Hello guys, I'm Kamal. Now I'm taking AP Computer Science at Western Guilford County Schools. Can you hear me?
How are you liking it?
I like it. It's pretty easy for me because I have background of coding. now it's easy. We're learning JavaScript programming.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself continuing with this? What is
Yes.
your, you have a
I
dream
want
job
to
yet?
study. Yeah. I want to study software engineer at the college also. I want to continue that one for the college also.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also too, you don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year college. You can get certification in different aspects of coding. And I was looking at the Epic Games site, and they have tons of different jobs and different levels. So, having your certification or, going on an online class and things like that, just to get your foot in the door, and then, have work pay for your continued education and stuff like that. There are different avenues for different people. So never let that, oh, I have to go to a 4-year college to get a good job.
We're not talking anybody out of going to college, but what Laura says is true, that you can work in this field. And then if you're any good at what you're doing, the company you work for is going to be happy to send you to certification classes. They really want you to do that. So that's a good thing. Kamal, could you tell us what made you find this study? What makes you interested in this?
Yeah, when I was like 11 years old, I find it a Scratch, and I do it a Scratch. I made a bunch of games on it, and I get interested on it, and then I started more programming, and now I'm it.
Okay, you are a Scratch success story.
Yes.
My goodness, you should post that somewhere. Is the other two folks that are on this meeting, if you have any questions, we're getting near the end of this, and Laura does have a life, but if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute. We're a friendly group, and ask us whatever you'd like. But if not, Laura's going to get us the PowerPoint that she showed with her links. Dr. Jones has put the link for the PDF with the resource guide in the chat. And if you wouldn't mind doing that again, putting that link in, that would be helpful. And then I've put in a link to SurveyMonkey, where it's extremely helpful to us when we plan these sessions if you fill out the very short form. And the last one is, do you have any good ideas for future sessions? And those are extremely valuable. So does anybody have anything left to say before we have to call it a night? Any questions? Anything? Well,
I'm just gonna say thank you from you all, like for making this session. Like this will really answer our question, like the difference between coding, programming, and things like that. This really helped us. Like even for me, that yeah, I learned that coding is related to designing. So now I know that what should I follow. So I'm just gonna say thank you to you all.
Well, thank you for that, Tamim. I will do anything I can to get an hour and a half to geek out with other people on, coding and programming. It's what I do. So Laura was just the biggest find of the year, because we were looking for somebody who could explain this. And thank you, Laura, for your time. Dr. Jones, thank you for your time. And on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, thank you for being here, and we will be in touch with links for the PDF and Laura's presentation. And y'all, we're expecting some bad weather, so make plans. If you don't have them already, stock up on whatever you need, and spend a minute or two thinking about the people in Florida. So have a good evening.
Thank you guys for coming.
Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.